because we like sweating in the summertime. Again, as I was mentioning to a few folks, it's a relatively fire retardant material, unlike the synthetic fibers of the park ranger outfit. So if any of the guns fail to go off and I have to address the issue or the problem, it's a good idea to not go up like a torch if the gun goes off in your hands. Specifically, I'm wearing the outfit of a United States regular infantryman, or for the Second Battle of Manassas, a bunch of guys from Wisconsin and Indiana who are going to soon earn the nickname of the Iron Brigade, courtesy of their strong performance here against Stonewall Jackson, and then a couple weeks later up in Maryland during the Antietam campaign. This place around you, there's about 5,000 total acres that are saved here. You guys, as Americans, you're the owners of the place. It's my job to tell you about what you guys are the owners of. You're already caring for it. Hopefully you'll care about it when you come here and experience it, and hopefully enjoy your experience, despite the weather. Just basics, there were two major Civil War engagements fought here within what's now this peaceful park-like setting. If you're not a lifelong student of the conflict, we're going to confuse you a little bit here. The two sides shooting at each other in the two fights each used two separate names. The Confederates, the Southerners, the rebels, they called each of the battles Manassas after a nearby rail junction. The road you were on was also a road back in the 1860s, and if you turn left, go south from here, 5.5 miles later, you'll find the railway tracks coursing through downtown Manassas. It's a brand new community when the war erupts in 1861. The tracks were only laid on the landscape in the mid-1850s. Kind of a boom town, but it didn't have much chance to grow into one before the war erupts. But it's a critical dot on the map in Virginia, a rail junction between Washington, D.C. and Richmond, the capital cities of the contending sections. And 2 times it draws big armies towards it as they fight for ownership, possession, and control of it. Now, the Union soldiers, the Northerners, the Yankees, among whom I'm portraying one, as are these guys. Wearing gray, they're portraying members of the 2nd Wisconsin Infantry of 1861. They called the two battles here Bull Run, the name of a nearby water feature, a serpentine stream 20 or 30 feet wide, 2 or 3 feet deep. It's no Potomac River, but it is a sizable obstacle to the easy movement of armies. Roving masses of humanity, tens of thousands large, that hoof it on foot on the landscape, and they have to cross water courses at available bridges or fords, relatively shallow spots where you don't get wet up to your head or beyond. Bull Run is now the eastern and sort of northeastern boundary of the park. You'd bump into it going just 1 mile in a 26-mile hike back to the National Capital. Now, the hilltop that we're on here, where the visitor center is built and where there's a lot of outdoor exhibits, this is Henry Hill, named after the wartime residents who lived here, the Henry family. Behind you is the post-war replacement structure, an 1870 house with an 1880s addition. The earlier structure was heavily riddled by projectiles on July 21 of 1861, and then it's physically removed in the first winter of the war. Confederates camped out in the area, took it apart for use on the campfires to stay warm. 2 old ladies lived here. A slave and a servant did the cooking and the cleaning for the 2 of them. They're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, as thousands of Americans from both sides of Mason and Dixon, north-south, east-west, are out here shooting at each other. To help you understand the significant history that happened here, there's a movie inside the visitor center, there's an indoor museum, there's outdoor exhibits, artillery pieces that are quiet, you have to imagine them booming, barking in anger. There's occasional monuments like this brownstone obelisk here in the backyard, left here by veterans or their descendants, to remind us of some who do not live through this significant history. There's a series of ranger-led talks and tours available on a daily basis. You could also get an app on your smartphone. You could get the cell phone tour of the hilltop as well. But you guys, fortuitously for you, you're visiting on one of the occasions when we have a bunch of volunteers. Guys who are relinquishing their weekend in order to portray camp and soldier life out here in the 1860s. And they're going to go through the manual of arms and discharge their single-shot, muzzle-loading, percussion-capped infantry arms of the 1860s. For you to understand what happens here, you have to magnify what they're doing quite a bit. We can't get 38,000 volunteers out here. That's what happens in 1861. 1862, there's about 120,000 guys congregated on this landscape.
It would be cool.
Like what we're holding.
Get time machine and record it with like a high-definition camera, like hiding somewhere.
About 5,000 Americans are killed, wounded, and captured out here on this peaceful setting in July of 1861. The later battle is 5 times as big. but Abraham Lincoln's America was not ready for 5,000. The overarching significance of the first Battle of Manassas, or First Bull Run, first major fight of the whole war. Here is where both sides learn the hard way that the other side is also deadly serious. They're not just going to simply drop their guns when we start marching around and shooting ours. Okay? The 2nd Wisconsin Infantry was part of a brigade led by a guy named William Tecumseh Sherman. He was here before achieving great fame in the West. Without further ado, let's welcome some of Sherman's boys. I'm going to hand it over to Tom Class, a member of the 2nd Wisconsin. Let's all welcome them here today.
Thank you. What you're looking at is a gray-clad Federal, as Greg was talking about. Most of the uniform and equipment you see here by our troops are based off of the militia pattern of the Wisconsin troops. How many people know how many companies are in a regiment? Anyone have a guess? I heard it, 10. All right. Can you imagine 10 different companies trying to get the exact same cloth for 10 different companies of 1,000 men? As you can tell by the wider range of gray you see, it didn't happen. The 2nd Wisconsin was a hodgepodge of different colors. My partner here, Mike John, is wearing an outfit strikingly similar to the one that I'm wearing and most of these men wear. The goal was to get a medium gray. A definition of medium gray in Wisconsin could be anything to very light to very dark. They're all made by different contractors. What you see here is some people have got nice lighter coats, some with a cadet gray coat. They're all accurate. This is what the 2nd Wisconsin would have looked like here in July of 1861. You'll notice the muskets that Mike and I have in our hand. These are called 69 caliber Harper's Ferry conversion muskets. They converted them to flintlock to percussion cap. And a soldier in the 2nd Wisconsin claimed these as howitzers with his first shot here at Bull Run. The 2nd Wisconsin was formed out of Camp Randall in Madison in May of 1861. They were the first 3-year regiment to actually hit Washington, and we are excited to be here today to show you a firing demonstration in the arms and movements of the 2nd Wisconsin. The tactics they're going to use are called Chandler's tactics. Chandler was the adjutant general of Wisconsin troops, and he made a field manual of both General Hardee and also General Scott, made Chandler's tactics. So you're going to see some unique arms positions you may not have seen before at a reenactment. Without further ado, I'm going to invite you to watch the 2nd Wisconsin through their manual of arms. This is the shoulder arms position. Notice it's on the left side of the body. The next command that Corporal gave is to the right shoulder shift. You notice they've got their hammer right on the top shoulder. It's actually very comfortable to march this way. We're now at what's called support arms. And this is present arms, which you're probably familiar with at ceremonies. Arms port used a lot on guard duty. All right, that's the manual arms. Now we're going to get into the firing demonstration. There's 10 steps to go through the firing demonstrations, and we'll go through them today. Brad, you ready? Okay. Okay, first command is load. They're going to bring their weapon on the left side of their body. Now the footwork on Chandler's, your right foot goes right next to your left, and you lean your musket over. And you're going to go back to their cartridge box. Handle cartridge. They're going to bring their cartridge in front, and they're going to get ready to tear it in between their teeth. They're going to tear the cartridge. They're going to bring it right up to the top of their muzzle here. They're going to dump their cartridge in a powder, and they're going to draw their rammer. Put their hand right in the ramrod. 2 steps. 1, 2. steps. 1, 2. Return rammer, same position. 1 step, 2 step. And you want to use your pinky to bring it down in case your muzzle would go off. Now they're coming to a cast about. They swing their musket from on the ground to a position of prime. We're going to put a little percussion cap on top. And they come back to the shoulder arms position. Once everyone's at shoulder arms, that alerts the corporal that everyone would be ready to fire. They're at the position of ready. Their arms go to full cock. Note the rear range steps aside with their right foot. And they're going to do it again. There's varying experts on that question. A lot of the philosophy was anywhere between a minute to a minute and 10 seconds. You get 3 shots off. It's very hard, especially in these type of tactics.
Something on fire over there.
You can't do it. As the war advanced and as tactics advanced, you could
You see it?
possibly do it. But these soldiers were more concerned about the accuracy. Accuracy was more important than speed.
What's the range?
Okay, if Mike can hold up his musket like this, the range of these is about 150 yards. These are muskets, so there's no rifling in them. Now, as Greg was talking about, the 2nd Wisconsin that he's looking at, they had an Austrian Lorenz rifle musket. Those had an effective range up to past 200 yards, easily. Here we go. Firing by file here. I'm sorry, by range. Front rank fire. Now they have to reload. And the thought was by firing by ranks, you never have your complete regiment unloaded in case you would get charged upon.
And that stems back to Napoleonic?
Correct.
Okay, so when did the strategy change to like foxhole strategy?
The actual changing of strategy, generally later in war, but there are known in anyone familiar with the 7 Days Battle, McClellan 7 Days? There are some instances of trenches being used during that time, but usually later in war, starting with Spotsylvania and onward, it became trench warfare. Mike, you want to go through the firing with the crowd?
Hey, I think you're doing a lovely job there.
Okay. All right.
Fire. So, point during this war where they went to got into more uniform with everybody, if they all eventually their uniform to the colors of these numbers?
Very good question. The gentleman's question was, when did the Wisconsin soldiers and the other soldiers get more uniform on their uniform and equipment? That would come actually with the changing of the generals. General McClellan, after this battle, becomes appointed. McClellan decides we're going to try to make everyone as uniform as possible that he could according to drill and their uniforms. So the Wisconsin soldiers in early October were issued a 9-button frog coat like Greg's wearing, a hat like Greg's wearing, and some of the soldiers got trousers like Greg's wearing, a light blue. The 2nd Wisconsin actually were issued dark blue trousers. So they had dark blue all the way up to the end of 1862. So it wasn't quite completely uniform.
Fire by file. Commence firing.
Now they're firing by file. They work in a partner of 2. Again, the idea is to spread the enemy out, not all have all your weapons unloaded.